right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining our virtual action learning session from Bangkok, Thailand. My name is Peter. I will be the coach for the session, and Kun Ming will be the PP. And we have 6 team members who will try to help Ming with her problem, all right, with her challenge. So we're going to do an action learning session. I know most of you know action learning, but let's go through a few basic pieces of what is action learning. So it's a process with a small team, all of us working on a real problem. Kun Ming is going to share a real problem, taking action and learning while we are doing so, all right? And it's used to solve problems, develop individuals and teams. We're going to try to do 2 things at the same time. Help Ming find actions to hopefully bring to a solution the challenge she's facing with, but at the same time making sure we all learn about Kun Ming's particular challenge, but also about ourselves as leaders, as action learning coaches, and as members of a team. I'm sure since you're all action learning coaches, most of you remember the ground rules, the 2 ground rules. Who wants to remind us of the first ground rule?
No statement without a question.
Excellent, Anna. And the second one?
Coach has authority for learning opportunity.
Thank you. And so here's the official version: statements only in response to questions. Anyone can ask a question of anyone. And the action learning coach, and that'll be me for this session, has the authority to intervene whenever I think there is a learning opportunity for the team. So the roles today: problem presenter Kun Ming will briefly present her challenge. All of us team members will ask questions and help Ming to get clarity about the problem. And as an action learning coach, I will try to identify learning opportunities. In action learning, we also try to not just help somebody with the problem, but learn and develop ourselves. So we're going to pick a leadership competency. This is a list of suggested leadership competencies. So I'm going to give you 1 minute, each of you, to pick one. You don't need to shout it out, but since we're in a virtual environment, we will actually use the rename function to rename ourselves, put our name, and then after our name, the leadership competency you want to pick. So you can go ahead and do that now. Sorry, Yok.
Systematic thinking.
Thank you. Fun.
Curiosity.
Anna.
Listening.
Ming.
Only present.
Kanakwan.
Creativity and innovation.
Nat.
Inclusiveness.
And Kun Yung.
Building trust.
Excellent. And so what we'll do is at the end of the session, so take the opportunity to practice that skill, listen out also to how the others practice their skill, try to keep some notes to give them feedback at the end, because at the end we'll give feedback under this model. Each will share how they think they practiced with a few examples. We'll see how others have observed additional evidence of that particular skill. And as a coach, I'll add on to that and then reflect on how we can apply that in a wider context. Okay, so I'm going to stop to share my screen now, and we're back here. We will use later on the chat box. The idea is for the session to go overall not more than 60 minutes. So good. So Kun Ming, can you take a few minutes to share us the problem, the challenge you're facing, you would like the team to help you with?
Okay. So my problem is about the action learning project that I just started with my company. Is finding a way to make it work. So because my hope is that we can continue action learning process as a culture in the company.
Okay, thank you, Kun Ming, for sharing. Who has the first question?
So would you like to tell us more about why don't you see that you have come that far that you wished for?
Because like every time that we have a session, I think sometimes their answer reflect the reality, but sometimes it's I think they learned, but they cannot adjust their question after they said they're learning.
Okay, team. So as you may have noticed, somebody disappeared for a while and then came back, right? Did everybody notice that? Kun Kanok One got disconnected. So what would happen if Kanok One did miss, what is it, 4 or 5 minutes? What would be the impact on the rest of our session?
Can be that it's not good questions that comes up. Not a good teamwork.
Yeah, what else?
I think we will miss some learning from her.
So how should we make sure to catch up what was missed? How should we make sure Kanakon can join again the session?
So we should check the person that has been missing, like up until which part that she heard the session, and then we help recap quickly.
Okay, so who has the next question?
That they are closed.
Okay, team. So allow me to intervene here. We've been working for like 15 minutes or so. Our first virtual action learning session. So how are we doing virtually as a team? How are we doing as a virtual team? That's what I mean. On a scale from 1 to 10, typical action learning intervention. 10 means fantastic, super. 1 means this is terrible. And this time we're going to use the chat box. So go to the chat box. Don't look at other people's reply. Just put one number, and then we see what we see in there. Right? 5, 6, 6.5, 7, 5, between 5 and 7, between 5 and 7. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to close the chat box. We don't need the chat box to share what we're doing. What are we doing well?
I think everybody listens very closely to my problem, and thanks for all the questions.
So good listening and questions. What else?
We are very polite. Like we try to raise hand and take turn.
We take turn. We don't interrupt others. Yeah. Okay. What else?
I think everyone try to help each other to ask her the question.
So we help each other. Okay. So we're definitely not yet at the 9 or a 10. How can we move up? What can we do better?
Ask.
Your microphone is off, York. So you raise your hand, but you have to also switch on your microphone.
Because my son has interrupted my screen. I'm sorry.
So team, I want to react on that right away. Have you noticed that once in a while Kun Yok's screen is going up and there's a little boy running behind her, right? Everybody's seen that?
Yeah.
What is the impact on our discussion?
I'm fine with that.
No impact from me?
For me, it's okay. No impact.
Yeah.
For me, it's okay.
Anybody has
Fine
a big
for me
impact?
too.
For me too.
Okay. So other than that, what can we do better?
Ask better questions.
Say again, specific questions? Did you say specific or not? Sorry.
No, I said ask better questions.
Better questions. Okay. Okay. What else? Better questions?
I think we can distribute the question more to other people than PP.
Okay. Not just only to the PP. Okay. What else?
Get everyone to ask questions.
Everybody ask questions. Thank you. Well, what else? Sorry.
We should ask a continuous question. Look like a question.
Okay. So try to follow up questions maybe. Okay. Do you think at this point, yes or no, we have an agreement on the problem? And I'm going to ask you to go to your thumbs up or thumbs down. So go to your participant list and put thumbs up if you think we have an agreement on the problem, or put thumbs down if you think we don't have an agreement on the problem. Okay. Okay. I see a lot of thumbs down. So we see a lot of thumbs down. We do not have an agreement problem. Let's do, as you all know, you have your no chat box this time, just pen and paper. Write down briefly what you think Kun Ming's real problem is. I'll give you 1 minute. When you're done, look at the screen so I know you're done. So when you're looking down, it means you're still writing. Thank you. Keep it short to the point. What is Kun Ming's real problem? Okay, thank you. Thank you. We're all ready. So we're going to go around the room, around the Zoom. Please read out loud and clear what you think Kunming's real problem is. And because we can't really go around, we all have a different screen. I'm going to, hope that's okay, pick on somebody because you're all ready to share anyway. Kun Yung, what do you think the real problem is?
คุณมิง
After you heard all that, there was a few common words, but not everything. Do you think we have an agreement on the problem? Yes or no? Let's do it differently. Yes means this, no means that. Show your thumb. Yes or no?
show
Show, really
no.
show. Okay. So we have some yes, we have some no. Kunyok is somewhere in the middle. Okay. So we're going to continue. Let me remind all of you to practice your leadership skill. It's easy to remember because it's next to your own name or next to the name of the people around you. So take the opportunity to practice. And at the end of the session, Kunming, I will ask you what actions you have identified from this session to help you solve your problem. And before I ask who has the next question, let's try to remember what we said we could do better. Remember what we could do better? 3 things. Kunat, you're shaking your head. Go ahead.
Not all. Ask better question, ask
Better
continuous question, get
Continuous
everyone
questions.
to ask question and distribute the question around.
And not all questions to the PP only. Yes, that was actually a very complete list. Thank you. So who has the next question? So team, I want to, some interesting questions. Do you feel that we're looking to try to better understand Ming's problem, or do you think we're trying to explore and find solutions for Kunming? What have you heard in the last 5 minutes? Is it more about the problem or about solutions?
A solution.
It's about solutions, right? We asked Kunyok what she did, and she shared her experience, and Kunming said, Anna, what have you encountered something? What do you remember 8 minutes ago what we said about agreeing on the problem? Did we have like this or did we have like that? Right? We had more, we don't agree yet on the problem. So what would happen if we try to explore solutions and we're not really sure to understand Ming's problem yet? What would happen with our session or with our proposed solutions?
The solution wouldn't be the good one or the real match with my real problem.
With the real problem. So team, what can we do to, in the limited time we have today, to try to better understand Kunming's problem?
Asking for find the real problem.
Okay. Okay, so who has the next question?
Okay, my question to คุณมิงค่ะ you were talking
Okay, team, I'm going to do another intervention. On a scale from 1 to 10, how do you think we're doing now? I'm going to have to ask you to go back to the chat box, put in your number. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're still kind of 6, 7s. I see lots of 6s and 7s. So what can we do better?
Maybe we can be more creative in the questions.
Be more creative in the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
I also suggest that Kunming can ask the team member on some question also.
Okay, so Kunming can ask us. What else?
To ask like a continued questions. Because the question is scattered.
And ask each other. We should ask each other.
So for the last 5 minutes, who has the next question?
Me. I want to ask.
I have a question to everyone. So if you are her team member, what do you need to feel more motivated?
Okay, I'm going to intervene, but we're going to answer this question. This is going to be the last question, but because we're also wary of time, we said we would finish at 60 minutes. So Kun not ask this to everybody. And he said, if you are a team member, what do you need to feel motivated? And I'm going to keep it short, I'm going to ask each of you to answer, to pick one thing. What do you think the team member of Kunming might need to be motivated. Is that okay, Kunnat, to do that? So we're gonna have to keep it short. If you start to list, I'm gonna ask you to stop, please, because of time. So this is a question to everybody, including Kunming. So the question is, what do you think Kunming's team members need to be more motivated? Go ahead.
For me, I think that Kunming.
We're gonna move to the wrap up, guys. To make sure we stay within the time. So Kunming, I'm gonna ask you, and you have to be honest, on a scale from 1 to 10, how useful was this session for you?
I think 6.
6. So what maybe was missing for you in the session? We're not gonna go back, but what was missing? What could have been, what did you expect more?
Expect more deep question into the problem.
Okay, okay, all right. So from everything you've heard, what would be the actions you think you can take soon, tomorrow, in the coming days, to try to make progress on your challenge?
Some, you know, I can.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, Kunming. So we're gonna do the general learning debrief. And now we can maybe mention a little bit the virtual part. So let's start with, what did we do best as a group in this first virtual session?
We respected each other and listened to each other.
Yes, listening. Yes, what else?
Get everyone to ask questions.
Everybody asked questions, everybody participated. What have we learned about Ming's problem? And not in particular Ming's problem, because Ming is her own team, her own company, but about the kind of problem that Kunming has shared. Was about people resistance, was about motivation, was about, you know, too big a problem. Just for you as your all action learning coaches, I was going to ask you to share one thing that you think you've learned about this particular topic that you think was useful for you, you can apply yourself. Okay, just one thing. I'm going to ask now specific about virtual, okay? You're all action learning coaches. What have you learned about virtual action learning? Again, pick one thing. It could be anything, could be about the technology. It could be about something that worked easier than you thought, something that was not so easy. So just one takeaway from each of you about the particular nature of this virtual session for you as an action learning coach. What did you learn about the virtual part? Go.
Yeah, I can feel the impact very clearly. For example, when someone asked me the question, I wouldn't know that Kun Kanok one was missing. Because when it's virtual, we tend to focus to only the voice of the person who's talking at the moment, but we cannot sense others' movement in the room.
That's interesting. Who else missed that Kanok one was gone? Really? Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, when someone talks to me, I just focus on that person, but I cannot notice others in the room at all.
Okay, thank you for sharing. What else? Talking about the virtual dynamic and the environment and the technology. Yes, Kunyo.
Yes, I will not focus only the person who is talking. I should focus for all three, all people. It's okay.
And for sure, if you're a coach, you kind of need to do that. Yes. So
I should have the the eye of the pineapple.
Eye of the pineapple. Okay, I don't know that expression. What about the others? What have you learned about the virtual session?
I noticed that everyone delay before asking the questions because we have to observe the others.
Probably a little bit more hesitation and some silent time between questions or answers. Yes. What else? Good thoughts, good reflections. What else?
I think we have to listen very carefully. We have to listen very carefully and concentrate.
Okay.
A big takeaway from me is actually to not be muted because that is a old learning that I have that always be muted, but this is a big takeaway. Otherwise it would not be any flow.
It would impact the flow, and but it needs to work, right? If everybody, if some people would be walking outside, or that would be different. So it worked very well, and I appreciate all of you. What about Kunnat and who's missing? Kunyung, maybe. Yes, Kunnat.
I think it's easier than I thought because, as I said yesterday, I was concerned about it. But at the same time, I wouldn't do it with the team that is new to action learning. I think it even increased the level of challenges.
Good point. Yung?
Yeah, I think it is good to see to see everybody here, so we don't miss anything, except for when Kun Kanokban was missing, just for a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
May I add more?
Yes, please.
May I add more? Because of Kun Ming is in the middle, so it's easy for us. If you, if the PP is in the middle.
Is she in the middle for everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
not in my screen.
No. So this is an important takeaway. Everybody sees a different screen. Debrief. We'll do it short. Actually, we're reaching team. We are officially 1 hour in the session. Do you prefer to go a little bit further, or do you have any time constraints?
I can continue.
Anybody has
Fine
time
for me.
constraints? Can you raise your hand? No? Okay, so let's do the leadership debrief efficiently and effectively. Kunpun, curiosity. How do you think you demonstrated? What kind of the question did you ask to demonstrate curiosity?
The question.
We've come to the end of our session. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you, Ming, for being the PP volunteer. And we hope that you have some ideas to move forward with moving towards the solution of your problem. So thank you, everybody, for your participation in this action learning session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.